And welcome back to DaGaimez, gamers. I have to do this. I have to make my stance very clear, and congratulations. If you clicked on this video, you're industry minded. You're somebody who's an entrepreneur, you're a trader, you're a miner, you're in the industry, you're in the business of making money. And you want to have the control to set conditions in which you can make the best amount of profit. You want to buy low and you want to sell high, and you don't want a lot of limits that will kind of get in your way, limiting your abilities to basically be the person that you can be, the best player that you can be when it comes to being part of an active, dynamic economy. We're going to talk about the differences between a player-driven economy, which I stand for wholeheartedly, versus an NPC artificial intelligence model, which is currently how Star Citizen is going forward. Now, before I continue, let me state that I understand that we are not in 3.0 yet. And let me state also that I love this game, and that no matter what economy rolls out, I will play the game regardless, but I will play the game differently depending upon what kind of market rolls out and how effective an artificial economy can actually be, which I don't think it can be. And I'm going to explain to you why. First off, let's take two scenarios. Let's take one where you're an owner of an organization, or absolutely backing your organization as a member, and you're completely down for the people in that organization. And the other scenario where you are a trader, or you own a business, or you're in an organization that is business minded. Now, first, let's take example A, where you just are like in any type of organization, whether it be a bounty hunter organization, whether it be a service related organization. And let's say that another organization basically makes your life hard. They go to war against you. Now, first thing most people do, because they love their security blanket in this game, they love the safety net, as they go, oh man, they'll probably contact SIG and say they're trolls and they're trolling me and they can't handle it. But hopefully SIG won't limit this, because I think that would be ridiculous if they did. I think people should sort out their own actual problems, because the game would be more immersive that way, and thus you would have wars between different types of organizations. I'd be very disappointed if that gameplay was not in there. But let's say you're continually being harassed by an organization and you want to go after them. But instead of being able to go after them just with the PvP and ship on ship and the amount of pilots versus another amount of pilots, let's say you're a smaller organization and you don't have the amount of pilots or the coverage to go after them properly. So you're saying to yourself, well, I can go after them economically. That's a lot of wars are fought that way. In fact, in real life, the price of oil makes people go to war. These things in life, economic PvP happens all the time. Battles are fought with checkbooks all the time. Economic warfare, PvP and economics, I love it. It's active trading. It's what makes markets dynamic. Now, in a player-driven economy, you'll be able to trade off. You'll be able to cut off trade routes, make deals with other human players, not to sell in certain areas or trade with certain people. In an NPC artificial economy, you have basically the NPCs and artificial intelligence creating supply. There will always be access to this supply. There will always be an option for the organization that is fighting you to be supplied. It's not necessarily the best when it comes to, immersiveness, to fighting your enemy. So there will be no economic warfare in an NPC AI environment. There will be no way to go after them financially, and that is something that a lot of people should look at. And for people that say, hey, big deal, I kind of look at them and I say, okay, let's turn the tables, because probably those that are watching that say big deal don't involve themselves too much in the economy anyway. They don't know what we're talking about right now. I know many of you know exactly what I'm talking about right now, because I give you that. I understand you're intelligent. That's why you're here. That's why you clicked on this video. But those that don't understand it won't think it's a big deal. They'll say, big deal. Well, let's turn the tables around and let's tell them, hey, you cannot fight PvP with any other pilot. No PvP scenarios. You can only fight other ships and pilots in space that are NPC. You can never fight a human pilot. Let's give them limits. Let's give them restrictions. And now let's see how fair this is. Do we want to balance the game? Do we truly want to balance the game that way? Because that's if they want a fair, balanced, safety net scenario where they think it's unfair that ships are priced XYZ, say that some getting back into supply demand mechanics. But we'll save that discussion until after the second scenario. So let's talk about the second scenario where you're actually a business owner and you want to buy low and you want to sell high. Now, let's just say right now, because this is pretty much how I figured out that Chris and Sig are going to go ahead and implement this economy to this point. And why I'm so vocal right now is because we can change it. The NPC and artificial intelligence that's going to be set up is thus. There will be manufacturing nodes controlled primarily by NPC. There will be NPCs buying from NPC, and there will be humans buying from NPC. But the way in which they have the scenario split up is that there is 90% NPC artificial intelligence control and 10% human. Now, the argument in this scenario for this system is that that's just like the real world. And it is not. That is not like the real world. The real world, actually, humans are making decisions. And humans are supplying goods. And humans are buying and selling goods. We're talking about artificial intelligence here. We're talking about basically saying that it's okay to have robots run everything. Now, at some point in our future, in our real life spans right now, that may very well happen. That kind of scares me, and maybe I'm biased, that I don't want robots to be ruled over me. I find it scary that people are actually fighting me when it is humans that I am fighting for. When it is players that I am fighting for, people are actually arguing and saying, why? I want safety measures enabled so that I don't have to worry about crazy humans that manipulate a system, which is funny. That happens all the time. Market manipulation happens all the time, and markets still continue on. And when market manipulators get way out of hand, the Fed comes in and says, nope, this is not cool. This is against the law. You broke the law, and we're taking you to jail. And that's how it happens. When you get into a scenario where all you're worried about is safety, and you're like, I want the fairest price. I can tell you right now, when they launched the game, they want it to be the safest kind of environment possible because they don't want to turn people off with crazy high prices. And they don't want to have, as in the CCU video I was talking about, it's not really like people that are involved directly in the CCU system that are going to manipulate microtransactions and then game the system that really worry me, because Chris and Sig are going to find a way to kibosh that. They're going to put the smack down, and that's fine. That's not what worries me. What worries me is that Sig is actually looking at the CCU as a means in which it's interfering with their data so that they know how many ships are being flown in the universe. That's kind of what worries me. They're saying, okay, well, like there can only be this amount of ship in the universe, so they're limiting the amount of ships based upon, they don't want a conga line of Polarises, and I understand that, but you're always going to have that in a particular type of game, and those Polarises wouldn't be there for that long in a player-driven economy anyway, because most of people couldn't man them or crew them properly or fly the ship or continually blow it up. And you'll see less and less Polarises out there. And that's just basically how that happens in a player-driven economy. In the NPC artificial intelligence market or economy, what you would see is like a very, like, initially like, oh yeah, cool, those ships aren't, like, there's not a conga line of them flying around. But then eventually, like, if they're limiting ships that you can actually fly, then you couldn't have the access or ability to get certain types of ships, which is kind of dangerous. And I'm not quite sure if that's how they're going to roll it out once it's finalized. This is all kind of speculation right now in Theorycraft. I understand that. But that's why people come to this channel, is because I'm talking about these types of issues. And I'm not the type of person that's always going to be, like, explaining myself so that like I'm covering my own ass, so that I feel like I'm making everything palatable to the largest audience possible because I want to bring in as many subscribers as I can. That's bullshit. I'm always just going to speak my mind and tell you the way that I think. Now, the second scenario, let's get back to it. We're talking about a business owner. So imagine that I'd imagine in an artificial NPC economy, you'd have the ability to buy at a price that's fair, because that's how they're going to program it. That's how they're going to code it. They want it to be fair. So I'll be able to buy at a decent price. Now the sell is where I'm worried about. So if the NPCs, the AI, are basically are the majority of the marketplace, which they're going to be to make it fair. I call it bland. I call it not dynamic. That's not a dynamic market. What's going to happen is volume will hit zero eventually, because of NPCs buying it through storylines, or they'll develop some type of storylines, making it immersive, and then the NPCs will buy certain items in certain solar systems. Those items will be depleted. Humans will also buy them in conjunction with NPCs, and then your volume will hit zero. And once the volume hits zero, the nodes go off and say, hey, I have to manufacture these, and now they create missions, and then we do the whole missioning grind, and we do the PvE questing for certain types of items. It's a little bit more dynamic in that respect. I respect it. I like it. I mean, Chris has always been great with missioning. I've seen the trees. I've seen how the different branches, it's great. It's a lot of work, but go for it. Great. All right. The pricing's what I'm worried about. How will AI determine pricing? Now, a lot of people in our community believe that the pricing itself at the sell price will be determined more so out of a median average, basically collecting like an aggregate. I agree with that also. What I'm worried about is the programmed variance. If there's no variance in pricing, then there's really no dynamic aspect to a market. If they're going to throw in like the curveball where some types of NPCs are inflating prices and they go off an aggregate of that would be okay. That would be a little bit better. I'd be kind of like, I would be cool with that. But let me just explain that most times in an artificial NPC environment, when they take like an aggregate or median price, what you are left with is a very slim profit line. You're left with a buy price at a certain set point, and you're left with a sell price at a certain set point to keep it fair, because they don't want to turn people off to the game when people are like selling things at like astronomical prices. And I will get into that. Shortly, which leaves a very bland kind of band of profit margin. So, maybe on certain items 5%, maybe 10, maybe 15. I don't think you're going to get much more than 30%. I think 30% is probably going to top off on an NPC artificial market, unless there's storyline involved. I think 30% might be the top line of profit. Now, that's unrealistic to say that that's actually like people have margins that are all over the board in real life, depending upon the products that they sell, depending upon the areas that they sell. And that's really in a player-driven economy how things work. And people are scared about that because they don't want to see inflated prices in certain areas. They don't want to see that because they think it's not fair. But the funny thing of the matter is that unless you have the capital to actually buy those prices, those inflated prices, because some people will say screw it and they'll just buy it anywhere that they're at and just pay the inflated price because it's a certain area that might be more dangerous than other places. If the price is set higher to the point where it's ridiculous, most people won't buy it. It's supply-demand mechanics in an actual player-driven market. It's how the real markets work. If I see something completely inflated, I'm probably not going to buy it unless I have the capital and it doesn't even matter to me. And most people would see that and they would say, okay, well, what's the demand in this area for this particular item? And they would look at that and they would undercut the seller because that's how the markets work. And a trader would come in and they would undercut that particular seller, and it would just continue to be undercut until the market supply demand mechanics would make the price palatable. That's how it works. To say that we don't have the patience or time is an insult to us as human beings. I like a lot of people that are watching this video understand exactly what it is that I'm saying. There's a lot of you, probably those that are the most turned off by having a player-driven economy, want the most watered-down experience when it comes to trading and the economy. And I've already stopped watching this video, which is fine. It's absolutely fine because I'm talking to you right now. I'm talking to the people that actually prefer humans over robots, because that's really what the conversation I think needs to be geared looked at. It needs to really be looked at. People have become so scared to the point where they want robots to do the work for them. That's exactly what this boils down to. It's the artificial intelligence they think is going to be more fair than humans. And humans don't really even play a role when it comes to fairness. What plays a role when it comes to fairness and pricing is the market supply demand mechanics in itself. It has nothing to do with humans. It's the actual function of the market. It's the filter. Supply and demand filters itself. If I need a phone because I have no way to communicate to people, I'll go out and I'll look for a phone. It's the necessity. I need the phone to communicate. That can be artificially programmed. You could program that. You can program AI to do that. And you could say, okay, well, when you run out of phones, and then here's the price, and I'll be like, wow, that's a great, fair price. I'll buy that phone. But if I'm a seller, I want the choice. I want the ability to sell it at wherever I want to sell it at. That's PvP economics. If it's in an area that's a bandit area that's very dangerous and there's no products there to be sold, I will take the phones there and I will mark them up a bit. I won't mark them up crazy, but I'll mark them up a bit, and people will understand why they're marked up more. They'll understand the second they see it in the marketplace, because I'm in the worst spot possible. And I guess I'm paying a premium for this particular phone. But that's not the way it's going to be. That's not the way that the economy is going to be unless it's actually programmed by Chris and Sig to be that way. You know, like in certain instances where they're policing the system, they're actually injecting the artificial into the intelligence through storylines, where basically they see particular areas and they say, okay, well, we got to bump this up because of X, Y, Z. And that in itself is crazy because they're creating more work than they have to for themselves. I get worried because I don't understand this concept where people are afraid of having PvP in economics. I think it's essential for fairness in the market. And what I want to get into then is if you are somebody that is trying to sell as a trader, and you just don't want the bland average experience of taking an item from A to B. Now in 3.0, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be very Elite Dangerous, and I'm going to use that as an example. Elite Dangerous is another space sim game where you're taking items like a pack of pencils from station A to B for a lead shortage or whatever the hell, and you get paid X amount of dollars. That type of gameplay is very boring. That type of trading, that type of market is very boring. And if you look at the game, the industry is dead. Not a lot of people mine. No, very rarely do any human players ever mine, because there's no need for them to mine. They're basically just taking rocks and shoving them into a station and getting paid for it. But the rocks don't do anything. The rocks don't build anything. They have no physical, tangible use. They don't mean anything. It's just a questing item, and it's boring. And people can trade, and all they're doing is just basically like hoarding credits. They're trading a massive amounts. Like, I need a bigger ship because I need to haul more of this particular item from station A to station B. I need a bigger ship because I need to haul even more stuff from A to B. And that's really all it is. There's no need for it. There's no human demand for it. Nobody's asking for it in the game. It's all related to NPC storyline, and it's very boring and bland, and you'll have tons of people agreeing with me on that the industry within Elite Dangerous is dead. And it's a sad thing because it could be so much more than it is right now. And you don't have people play the game that way. There's no longevity to the play in that game when it comes to industry. And a lot of industry-minded people poo-poo Elite Dangerous and say, nah, it's not the game for me. You have a lot of explorers in that game. You have a lot of people who are mission grinders in that game. And you have a lot of people that just like to chill and relax in that game. That's why I like to play a pirate and find people to PvP. But anyhow, regardless, what I'm trying to say is that I don't want that type of market. I don't think that will be the market that we'll end up with right now. I think it will have some what I want to say. I think it'll have some element of tangibility. I think the assets will have some type of tangibility to them. To what extent? They'll be more tangible the more that humans need them. If I'm just doing them for storylines, if I'm just doing these particular industrious tasks for credits or storylines, it'll get boring fairly fast because it's not really having any need for people. It's not really having any need for the actual demand of the player base. So in terms of my stance on how I would like the game to be, is that I would like NPCs really to exist in the marketplace only to give money out for missioning and have no functionality or have no part of it within the actual marketplace. I would like to have all manufacturing done by humans. I would like to have all selling done by humans. And I would like that to be like, that is in fact a player-driven economy. So there, I've made my stance very clear. And thank you really for watching this, because I think it's important that we actually like talk about this, that we understand where it is that the gameplay can live freely and have a good, like where people who actually love to trade, who love economies, who love to trade in them, who love to be a business owner or a miner, actually have some tangible fun when they log in and they say, hey, I'm logging in and I mean something to somebody out there. I'm logging in and what I'm doing has an effect. Because otherwise, if we're placating ourselves to the artificial intelligence, then we are no more than automatons. To them, we are artificial. We are the artificial intelligence, because we're letting them do the work for us, and they won't do it as good because they have no emotion. They have no wants or needs other than to look into a number and see that it is zero, and then make a certain amount, and then set it at a certain price, predetermined. Everything's done for you. And if that's the market you want, I feel sad for you. I really do. All right, gamers. I will see you on the next video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. If you are a trader, if you are somebody who is industry minded and you actually got something out of this video, then fight for this video. Like and share this video. Get people to understand that it's not bad to have PvP in economies. It is a good thing. People should not be scared of this. There's no reason for anybody to be scared about that. It's ludicrous. It really is. So if you're somebody that actually got something out of this video and you agree with some of the things that I've said, then put this out there, please. It's very important that you do, to get our voices out. It's really important, because otherwise I would hate for you to be stuck in a scenario where you do not have an active PvP economic environment where there's no player-driven aspects to it. So let's hope for at least some. Currently, I think the way they're going to roll it out is going to be primarily dominated by NPC AI, and that's sad. That's sad, but we'll see. We'll see, and I'll keep doing videos like these as we continue forward. And I hope this clarifies my position. And you might not agree with me, but I'm always going to speak my mind. There you go. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you guys on the next vid. Consider becoming a Patreon and helping to support us. That would be great. Love you guys.